When the power goes out, we stay powered up. Today we're going to share with you our strategy for keeping our family safe, comfortable, connected, and ready for anything. Hey, Provident Preppers, I'm Jonathan.
And I'm Kylene, and today we are going to share our strategy for grid down events. But before we do that, we want to thank Michelle from Big Valley Living, who invited us to participate in 30 Days of Preparedness. And this is one of John's favorite topics. And we decided this was the most important thing that we could share with you this month as you are working hard to prepare. Now, the grid can go down unexpectedly. Today we're going to share our strategy, but pretty much because we have the grid down readout system now, a power outage is a non-event for us. But we've taken a lot of years working up to it, and if for some reason that were to fail, this is our plan.
Let's just clarify right up front. Being prepared isn't about fear. We should never be motivated out of fear. It's about confidence and peace of mind and knowing that we can take care of ourselves and our families and others, our community. So let's remember that as we go forward. And let me also say, you don't have to have all of this stuff. What we're going to talk about today is a lot of ideas that you can think about and see what's right for you, for your situation, and what's going to work best.
So let's talk first about the backbone of our system, which is John's favorite, power generation and storage.
We absolutely love our power stations. And these power stations come in sizes smaller than this one and much bigger than this one. So there's a whole range of sizes. These are one of the greatest things that I think have come on the scene for preppers in a long time, because they allow you to have portable power that you can charge with solar, with household power when you have it available, and even with a car charger. So these are very versatile, and we've got some videos that talk about how you decide what size you need.
And by quality. There's a lot of junk out there now because the market is saturated with a bunch of stuff from a foreign country that isn't any good. So just make sure that you're buying quality.
Now, as a backup to these, we have an inverter generator, and I would recommend highly the inverter generators as opposed to the old traditional generators. These are more efficient. They have a cleaner waveform, which means they're not going to damage your electronics, and they're quieter.
Now let's talk about each aspect of our power out strategy. The first is communication. How are we going to stay connected with the world and with the ones we love? Now, we always think about our cell phone, right? And that's super important. But if the power goes out, how am I going to recharge my cell phone, John?
Well, we've got these little power banks. This one's solar powered and has quite a bit of storage. We also have these hybrid lights that also have battery storage and the ability to charge phones right from this little light or from these power banks.
And I think that's great because it's a dual purpose. And we can just plug it into some of these power banks, right?
Yep.
But there's some other things that I can do. If the power were out and I was trying to conserve power, I would make sure that I put my phone on airplane mode. I would dim my screen and I would close all non-essential apps so that I can conserve as much power as I can for as long as I possibly can. But there are other ways that we need to communicate too.
Yeah, AM, FM radio, we've got GMRS radio, amateur radio. All of these things help us stay connected to our world, to get information, but also to our family and loved ones and to our community to make sure everybody's doing okay.
And all of them run either off of disposable batteries or of rechargeable batteries, and that we could recharge using our battery banks. And so all of that is really important because staying connected is huge.
Absolutely.
Number 2 is computing and internet, because digital life continues. Just because I'm having a power outage in my sleepy little town doesn't mean that the rest of the world stops and that I don't have to continue working. We're really blessed in the fact that laptops and iPads and things have batteries. And as long as we have a way to charge them, that works really well. One of the things that I have for my computer with some essential things plugged into it is a UPS. And that is just a big backup battery that stays charged all the time. And my computer is plugged into it and a few other essential things, because if the power suddenly goes out, it could damage my data and my computer. So I want to make sure that I have the ability to have that little bit of time so that I can go in and close everything down that I need to appropriately. Now, because we have our backup, we don't usually have to worry about that, but I've still got my UPS just in case, and I still have everything plugged into it. Now, you can still have internet, even if your broadband's down, if your phone has internet. And so you can hotspot it, or you can use smartphone tethering and be able to turn your phone into a little Wi-Fi hub. So make sure that you practice that in advance and know the limitations and how to do that. So when the power goes out, you can still have internet, as long as the internet's up.
Number 3 is lighting, and our goal is to banish the darkness. Darkness is depressing. It's also dangerous, and we don't need to be stumbling over things or having problems because we can't see.
For our family, we personally are not using any flame type of lighting. And it's because in our different practice sessions, we have found that it is too great of a risk for our family, especially with me around, because fire is incredibly dangerous. So we have gone all with rechargeable solar lighting. And the thing, hybrid light, hands down, is our favorite. And you can see why. Like, they're incredibly bright, and they can just recharge in a window. And then the other piece of it, like we talked about a minute ago, is that it has a little USB port in these. And so you can use the same solar panel to be able to recharge your phone or some small device like that. If you use the promo code Provident when you go there, you'll get a 20% discount. This is hands down our favorite, and it is worth the investment. Now, when we think about lighting, we've got to have lighting for several different tasks. One is just room lighting. If we're eating dinner or something, I need to be able to put this on the table and have enough light so that we can all see, or hang it up and give it a little bit more light. And that's one of the things that I love about these. They've done a lot of really good thinking through. This is actually my favorite light. It has magnets on the bottom, so you can like stick it up and this end moves, and it's just a really, really cool light. So sometimes you need that. These can be small. They're little pucks, or they can be bigger. John loves the headlamps.
Yes, headlamps are my friend and not my wife's, because I usually come in from working outside with a headlamp and blind her.
Yeah, like,
so
John.
Yeah, but for so many things, this keeps my hands free and allows me to do what I need to do and have the light that I need to do it.
And then we have the traditional flashlights from Hybrid Light that we have tucked all over the place. They hold about a 7-year charge. So, and you can charge them, like, say you don't have enough solar, you could charge them using some of this backup power too. So it's been really versatile. I love that. But one of the other things that I think is really important, I have a whole bunch of cheap glow sticks, and I have these glow sticks. Again, it's a non-fire source, but sometimes, especially the children, they need something when they're sleeping if they're scared. And so this is a real good way for them just to have a little bit of a light. We turn it into an adventure. But lighting is huge. This is our plan. And hybrid lights make great Christmas presents. That's all of our kids have both this one and this one, because we think it's so important.
Number 4, one of the important ones for me, is cooking and being able to have delicious meals without the grid.
We did an entire month grid down experiment in November one year. That entire month we learned so much, because when you're cooking grid down, everything takes longer. It takes more fuel than you thought, and practice is so important. But our plan is there's a backup for our backup for our backup. First and foremost, I have a wood burning stove out here so that I can cook. It's miserable in the summertime. Like, I would never want to do it in the summertime, or if I just needed to do something small, but that wood burning stove is amazing. We also have a masonry heater out in our building out here, where it has a pizza oven in the top, and the masonry heater is fantastic because you start one fire a day in it and it gets super, super hot. And then for the first little while, it's a pizza oven, and then it's a regular oven, like the kind you could bake bread, and then it turns into a slow cooker. And so that's really fun. So if we were heating there, I would definitely take advantage of that heat and that warmth that we have in that oven and cook our food in there. We also have the Bear River rocket stove. We borrowed it first for that grid down experiment, because it's this giant rocket stove where you feed it with sticks, but it has a huge oven and this huge grill top, so you could feed a lot of people with it. And that is one of the things in our plan, because we have fruit trees. We've got plenty of sticks and twigs and things to fire it, but it means that we can help take care of our neighbors too.
Absolutely.
So outside our propane stove, our Camp Chef, that is a huge thing. And for most of the cooking, we're gonna wanna conserve fuel. So we have a stovetop pressure cooker that we can use to accelerate that process. There's a lot of things that we can do outside, but a lot of times we don't want to be outside. It might be cold, it might be dark. We might not want anybody to smell or to know that we are cooking. And so there are definitely times when we want to cook indoors.
And my favorite is the Vesta. This is an awesome device. It uses these chafing fuel. They're safe to use indoors. You can use 1 can, you can use 2, you can use 3, and you can cook all kinds of fun things on this. And we did one where we cooked beans. You'll see that, or if you haven't seen it, you will see it. In a pressure cooker on here, I was amazed how quickly this got done and how effectively it worked.
Yeah, that stovetop pressure cooker, we have a stainless steel one, and that is very, very important for emergency preparedness, because it can take something that would have taken hours and hours on here and have it done in less than an hour. But the thing about this is that I can burn this indoors and be safe. Now, we always want to be safe whenever we have flame. We always want to make sure that you have enough ventilation, but this is one of what I feel is the safest forms of being able to cook indoors. You be super, super careful that you don't hurt your family and do something that you shouldn't. Don't burn anything that's not rated for indoor use inside. This one actually doubles as a heater, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Now, Jonathan, who loves power stations, actually figured out how to use his power station to efficiently cook food.
Yes, and normally you wouldn't want to use a power station because cooking, heating, and air conditioning just take massive amounts of power that are going to drain your power station very quickly. Now, these bigger power stations can handle a little bit of that, but when you couple that with an Instant Pot, Instant Pots are amazing. If you haven't got one or you haven't heard about them, figure them out, because Instant Pots are truly an amazing cooking tool that can cook all kinds of ways. So we used that with our beans with this grid down bug out, and it was amazing. It was very, very fast, and it didn't actually consume that much energy. 1 hour with a 350 watt panel would restore the energy back into that. So that was a great trade-off to me.
So the Instant Pot is a pressure cooker, but it's an electric pressure cooker, and it's super easy to use. One of the other things we discovered we could use with the power bank efficiently is an induction burner, just a little stovetop one. We did find that cooking on high wasn't as efficient. We really needed to keep it like medium.
Well, it was actually efficient, but the power station we were using at that time couldn't handle it. So we'd turn it up as much as we could, and it cooked very, very effectively. I love induction cookers. We went to an induction range top because it's just so fast and it's very efficient. So yeah, the induction cookers are an awesome way you can use with a power station. Just make sure you have the right size power station to run that.
One of the things that's really important to do is to practice and to not just count on theory, because that is very different from reality. So get busy practicing and discover what really works for you. Now, one of the things that I would say is make sure that you have a manual can opener. If you've only got an electric can opener, you might find yourself in a bit of a pickle.
And we have one other really cool cooking method that...
What did I forget?
Solar cooking, which is one of my absolute favorites. If I could only have one device, I'd probably choose the solar oven.
No, he wouldn't.
And we argue about this a lot, but solar ovens, you don't have to store any energy. And it just goes out there on a good sunny day. Now it is limited, and you'll see that in the bean video. We had some real struggles because it was predicted that we would have clear skies and a strong UV index, and we didn't. We had lots and lots of clouds, so it struggled. So that's important to note, these limitations, but solar ovens are an awesome way, I believe, to get this job done.
They are great in theory, and they work part of the time. If I could only have one, I would have the Vesta, because that works every time.
Until you run out of fuel. A little minor detail there. Okay, anyway.
I don't know what to do with them.
I don't know what to do with me either. Number 5 is heating. What we want to do is stay warm and cozy And we have a multi-layered approach to get that done.
We did an experiment in January where we turned off our heat intentionally, right? We turned off our power and we learned so much from that experiment. But
What she learned most of all is she doesn't like to be cold.
hate.
And I don't like it when she's cold.
So we've done a lot to make sure that that I'm going to be okay and that I won't be too cold.
I've started the toughness program, but so far she hasn't enrolled, and she's
No.
let me know that she won't be enrolling. So
No desire to enroll in that program at all. Right back here, we have the wood burning stove, so that as long as we can use that wood burning stove, I can stay warm, which is fantastic. But one of the things that I think is ideal for those who can't have a wood burning stove, or even for us when it's not super, super cold, is the Vesta.
And that's right. This should look familiar because the bottom piece of this is what we were cooking on in the last section. This top piece is an amazing addition that goes with it, where that heat goes up. There's these fins, and then it's got a Peltier device in the back. So no batteries to store, no electricity that you need to have. This Peltier device is a fan that will just take that heat and push it out. And that's often the problem is you might have a heat source, but unless you can move that air, it's not as effective as it could be.
So for me, I can put this on the coffee table and I can just put it aimed right at me and it feels so good. And the safe heat, it's safe to store, it's safe to use indoors. If you don't have a lot of money, you don't have a lot of space, this is a fantastic solution.
Yeah.
In our grid down experiment, one of the things that I fell in love with was a propane buddy heater. The Mr. Buddy heaters are really good. Make
Most
sure
of
you
them.
pick one that is rated for indoor use. It's not going to warm your whole house, just like this. It's not going to warm your whole house. It's intended to be a little bit of a space heater. Now, one of the things with Jonathan and his power station, or power stations, is that we actually keep electric heaters too. And I know that's not the most efficient use,
Right.
but
But it can be done. If that becomes your critical load, then you're going to plug that in. A thing that I really like is using it to run a little heating pad or an electric blanket. And those are fairly efficient. You can put that in your bed, and sometimes I'll sneak in and put that under her side of the bed, the heating pad.
he's so sweet. He's
Just to warm it up to get things started. And then once you're in there and you've got the blankets on, then things warm up and you can stay warm all night.
Other parts of our plan include a tent. If you've listened to us much, you'll know that for winter preparedness, we think everybody should have a tent that they can set up inside their home, because that tent will create a microenvironment. If you sleep in it, if you play cards in it, if you just hang out in it, you will be so much warmer than you will out in your house regularly. So think about that. And you don't have to have a tent. You could put a blanket over your kitchen table or in some way create a microenvironment, and that will really help you stay warmer. One of the other things, this is something new that I have learned to absolutely love. This is called a game changer. And there's a Kickstarter program for this that's coming out soon, so you can't actually buy it yet. We've been testing it. And we've had a lot of fun testing it. But one of the things that we did is we had Keith Chandler, who invented this game changer. We had him create a blanket for our bed. It's made out of this really special open cell foam that keeps you thermal neutral. So you're not too hot, you're not too cold.
It's the Goldilocks approach.
It is the Goldilocks approach.
Right.
And it makes me so happy, because if you're still cold, like if it was super, super cold, you could add blankets on top of this, but it does an amazing job of keeping me just thermal neutral, not too hot, not too cold. And so poor John, now I'm always sleeping with it on my bed. Sometimes he's not such a fan because it's like the silky fabric or whatever this is, but he loves me enough to just sleep under it. But they do have other things on K3 Core, like they have a cocoon that I think they're still selling that is like a sleeping bag that you just crawl into, that would be fantastic for emergency preparedness too.
And let's not forget about just having a supply of blankets. We never throw away a blanket anymore.
We don't.
Because after our little experiment, we realized that even a worn out blanket is still very adequate to help keep someone warm. And then remember having the right clothing. That's your first layer of shelter, is your clothing. And so if you've got clothing and the ability to layer that clothing to help you stay warm in a bad winter environment, just a great way to go.
And always remember safety. We can't drill this into you enough. Make sure that you have battery-operated carbon monoxide detectors and one with a digital readout, because that digital readout will tell you when there's something in the air. The ones that are in your ceiling, they won't tell you until it's at a certain threshold and it alarms, but you need to know right away if there's something that you need to do about that. Make sure that you have proper ventilation and fire extinguishers. We have 3 of these boxes throughout our house, so that no matter where I get myself into trouble at, we have fire blankets and fire extinguisher, and we also have an evacuation plan. So that is all really important. Even though we're trying to mitigate that risk by having as few flame sources as possible, there still is that risk, and we want to be very careful.
And make sure that you check those smoke alarms twice a year at least. You should have drills on a frequent basis so that everybody knows where to go and what they're doing, but make sure they're with fresh batteries and ready to go all the time. Number 6 is medical equipment, making sure that we can care for those that we love.
And even though we don't have a need for medical equipment at this time, there are those who we love who do. So we are prepared to be able to take care of a CPAP machine or an oxygen concentrator, or make sure that there's a little fridge for someone that we love who needs her insulin kept cold. And you never know when you're going to need it, so make sure that you think about that and who might be coming to visit.
Number 7 is refrigeration, and making sure that we can keep our foods fresh, or at least be able to use up whatever's in there. If we don't have the ability to keep it going long term, at least keep it going short term and use up that food, that valuable food.
And that's where John's power stations shine. In fact, John and Mike created a whole video on the strategy for keeping your freezers going during a grid down event. So click the card in the corner and we'll take you to that. One of the really cool things about this power station and keeping the freezers running is that you can have the freezer plugged into that power station while those solar panels are out in the sun charging it. And so it really helps to be able to do things like that. You don't have to just say, oh, okay, it's charged, now we can use it. You can use it while you're charging it. Go figure. Number 8 is how to make sure that I have hot water. Once again, so that I'm a nice person. That's one of the reasons why in our wood burning stove, we selected one that has a water jacket and there's a spigot. So while the stove is on, it can heat the water, and that's a really simple way for us to get hot water. One of the other ways to heat water is on all of those different cooking devices that we talked about. We have a big gallon teapot so that we can heat a lot of water at once, and then we'll be able to take care of our hot water needs.
Number 9 is entertainment and morale, making sure that we keep spirits high and everybody happy.
Why did you look at me when you said everybody happy?
Because I want you to be happy.
Why do you want me to be happy, John?
Because when you're happy, I'm happy. And when you're not, I'm not.
There are a lot of devices that you have that are battery powered. As long as you have fresh batteries or a way to be able to charge those up, those can be really helpful. But how about books and games? Actually, a power outage is a great time to get together and play all kinds of different games and build relationships. Musical instruments, that's another really fun one that you can do in a power outage. But remember, attitude is everything. You've got to turn this into an adventure and have a lot of fun. Try not to focus on the things you can't do. Just focus on the adventure and try to have fun during this time with the ones that you love.
Number 10 is maintenance and testing, making sure that everything's always ready to go. The best plan is one that's actually going to work when we need it to work, which could be any time. So make sure we're testing these things out, we're trying them, or practicing with them. When things need to be rotated, rotate them. Make sure you've got the fuels that you need. All these kinds of things are an important part of this plan. It's not just having the stuff, but making sure that we make the plan effective by having everything else that we need and the practice and the ability to use them.
And remember that being prepared isn't about living in fear. It's about having the confidence to be able to handle any situation, because we're not just preparing for disasters, we are building resilience for life. And we would like you to join us. By taking these steps and focusing on some of this, it gives us a greater ability to bless the lives of others and help them when they might need it most.
I like that because it's so important that we remember our community and that we continue to build it. So there's our strategy. What's your strategy? And maybe you've got some great things that you should share with each of us.
And perhaps, what are you going to tackle first? Right? You can't do this all at once. John and I have been crazy for 25 years.
Oh, a whole lot longer than that.
We've been working so hard on this and collecting and developing skills. So what are you going to tackle first?
And let's remember, when you are prepared, you are powerful.
Powerful.
Thanks for being part of the solution.